I bumped into a beautiful man at the pool in Bali in the compound that I live. And he had gone to New York City for a couple months. And he came back to tell me that he had had a torrid love affair. And the smile on his face and the way that he shared the experience that he had with this woman and how my teachings gave him permission to open up and share himself authentically, no matter how long the relationship was going to last. And that's really the promise of the art of the torrid love affair, and why I am talking about what does it look like to date? Because we date because we think we're trying to find a long term partner. But I want you to consider that we date because we're chasing a feeling. We want that feeling of, having that spark, having a crush, falling in love, these things that stir our soul and make our life feel alive. But because we pretend that we're dating to find a long term partner, we end up acting in bizarre ways. So we date because we want to have that connection. It makes our everyday life, the mundane, seem magical. It seems like, we're no longer alone. We have this connection. We start understanding this person in such a beautiful way. And all of a sudden, we feel like the person that we want to feel like the whole time in our lives, this feeling of connection, love, and joy. But because we pretend that we're dating to find a long-term partner, we show up in very specific ways. And those specific ways kill the magic. So even though we date for the magic, because we pretend we date for long-term partnership, we do weird stuff. We play games, we hide out, we put on masks, we don't trust until we get close to that person. We hide ourselves. We try not to be clingy. We don't want to be abandoned. So we start doing these weird manipulative things that actually do not work and actually do not create the feeling that we're looking for when we date. But because we have been trained to date to find a long-term partner, that training came with certain ways of certain rules, if you will. So because these rules, we do weird stuff. We start judging and assessing the person in front of us. So instead of the person in front of us being a chance to connect and have joy and have love, we start assessing, would they make a good parent? How would they fit in at Thanksgiving? Are they attractive enough? And that judging and assessing is never going to create magic. So instead of doing that, let's talk about creating new rules for dating. Let's just abandon everything that we've learned and start creating something new so that we can actually have the magic that we're looking for. And look, this magic is attainable. Now, how deep the magic goes is going to be up to you, but I'll tell you the name of the magic is intimacy. But when we show up with masks on, when we show up holding ourselves back to see if we can trust that person, if we show up protective, intimacy is not possible. The only thing is possible is this each other judging and assessing each other. We kind of become like a checklist to each other instead of a chance to actually connect. I want to give you some advice and just some ideas of what you can do when you go out on dates. Instead of playing games and instead of judging and assessing, you want to just show up authentically from the start. You want to show up as your real self. What does it look like to look at that person that's in front of you and just take in their beauty? Let them reveal themselves as the night goes on. And then you show up as your real self, where they might have a chance to see your beauty. Now, all of a sudden, you're chatting back and forth, and you're starting to understand each other more and more. And this amazing empathetic connection is being created. And you're dancing with the conversation. You're not worried about what does it look like to, show up, prove something. What is it? And like, not trying to guide it to some place. What if you take on that this is it? This date is the only time you're going to be with this person. how would you show up differently? What questions would you ask? What would you share about yourself? How do you create the beauty between you and the others? What if you decided to become the magician? What if you chose, hey, I'm going to say how tonight goes, and it's not going to be a checklist, and I'm not going to be judging and assessing. What is it for me to create the magic between me and the other? How do I ask questions that instigate passion? Like, tell me, what turns you on about life? How do I share myself in such a way where they see who I really am? You know, sometimes I don't love myself and I show up in weird ways and I don't know why I do that. Like right now, I'm really concerned about you thinking a specific thing of me. You know, what if you shared that way? What if you shared about what's really going on right in front of you instead of describing what you do or how your past relationships went? Then there's a chance for the magic to be sparked. Then there's a chance for authenticity and this amazing intimacy that can happen. If you take on the context, this is the only date I'm going to have with this person. How precious does that become? And this is a tenet of the Torrid Love Affair. It's a guideline, is that Torrid Love Affairs have a deadline and you create that deadline. As you start dating in a Torrid Love Affair, as you go through what is going on for you, you know, you start dating somebody and then maybe 3 weeks into dating, you can decide, hey, do I want to turn this into a Torrid Love Affair, which is a mini monogamous relationship where you two get committed to having a transformational experience with each other in the weeks or months that you have together, but making sure you have a deadline. But bring that to every date that you have. You know, this is it. This is the precious moment that we have together. I'm not going to put on this false future. Creating a false future and looking into what might happen sacrifices what is happening in the present moment. When you start thinking about things in the future and what could happen or you don't want to happen, even if there's no like real spark between you as far as wanting to date again, you don't even have to worry about that. You can just show up and just be inquisitive. Find out what's going on with that person. When you put that false future in place, it squelches what is possible because you're in your head thinking, you know, what will this person be like? Will my friends like this person? Can I see myself doing ha 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 with this person? Just throw that out and don't worry about it. Ask yourself a question that might be more alive for you and make you feel more magical. You know, ask a question about who they are in the moment. You can ask questions like, how does it feel to be around me? Get in, like, ask that question. That would be amazing to get that feedback. Like, what does it look like when you're around me? How do you feel? How do I make you feel? And, you know, what if you started getting committed to making people feel a certain way? What if you went out on dates instead of thinking like, I'm going to try to find myself a long-term partner? You went out on dates thinking like, when someone's around me, they're going to feel joyous, playful, and sensual. Now we're talking. Then what do you say? What do you do to have them feel playful? What do you do to have them feel sensual? Are you touching your hair? Are you asking them like, oh, you know, what is it like for you to touch a woman? I mean, these are some great questions, and it really takes something for you to ask them because they feel risky because vulnerability feels risky. But vulnerability is the thing that's going to create magic for you. It is the thing that's going to have your life come alive. And even though it feels risky, it's actually not. It's one of the least riskiest things that you can do in the world. So if you're willing to be uncomfortable, if you're just willing to be uncomfortable for those 5 seconds of asking that question, once you get on the other side of that question, it's going to be amazing for you and the other person. You're going to like drop in with them in a different way than you ever had before. And at the end of the date, you get to say goodbye. Now, it might include a kiss, it might include a hug, it might include a handshake, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the beautiful person in front of you. And what matters is how you show up creating the magic. I'm going to be talking more about this just because I think it's so great to talk about this and really understand how, when we go on these dates and thinking that we're going to have a long-term relationship and create this false future of this person, how it's all projection and all story. And all projection and all story is not real. So what is it like to show up without the masks, without the trying to prove something, without trying to get the date to go somewhere or not to go somewhere? It's freedom. It's total freedom for you to be you. So I hope this gives you permission. I hope that you are available to take those risks and ask those questions and show up powerfully, knowing that the date is specifically to create magic. And here's the thing, the best way to create the powerful foundation for a long-term partnership is to set the tone from the beginning that, hey, I'm here to be authentic, I'm here to connect, and I'm here to be intimate. I'm not here to judge and assess. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm not here to enforce you anything into that you don't want to do. I don't want to manipulate. I just want to be with you. Here's the thing about a torrid love affair. At the end of it, you can transition to anything that you want. I would have a completion ceremony and you complete the relationship and then you get to choose after the completion. But having that completion of the torrid love affair is key in understanding like, hey, this is what we're playing. This is the game we're playing here. We are not going to flip into the future and pretend that we're going to do something longer than this amount of time. And we're going to see authentically who we are. Are we really compatible to move this forward? Are we in the real world and not projecting and creating stories about the person? I don't know about you, but sometimes I date somebody and I've been dating them for 3 months and I think they're one way. And then all of a sudden something slaps me in the face and be like, oh my God, who I thought this person was is totally different. I projected my beliefs and my stories on that person that they were a certain way, but actually they're not that way. And sometimes it's okay. And sometimes it's not great because it's not really compatible for my values. And then I have to assess, okay, is this a partner that I really want to have? But having that deadline is key. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. I hope that you really get that, why you're dating is to create the magic. The long-term partnership will come. Use these short relationships to empower your longer ones. Have relationships show up, be alive and connected for you, no matter how long they are or how short they are, no matter what the length. If you want to learn the magic and become the magician in your own love life, I would love to teach you. Just reach out and give me a private message and we will get on the call to do a 30-minute free assessment where I assess your magic in your current life and your love life. And we talk about how to up-level that so that you, no matter where you are or who you're with, get the chance to create magic. You're not waiting for anybody and nobody else has to come. Your life is magic because you are the magician. All right, I'll see you soon.